Hi, how are you, my younger brothers? I'm your elder brother, Kiran Roy. So, I had made one statement that always stay away from a woman who has a dominating mother and a weak father. So, I had made this revelation in Instagram in my Hindi channel, and it created a huge uproar. My reels went viral. Even my YouTube video in my Hindi channel reached lots of people. I received lots of comments regarding this. So today I'll be describing this point in great depth and detail because there are quite a few red flags to watch out for in a woman. For example, this is one huge red flag which I blew the curtains off from. Then there are many other points. So I'll be addressing each and every point in my upcoming videos. But for today, let's address this point. My first point with such a lady is she will never give you that respect which you deserve. You will ask me why? Why so? That's because during her formative years, she has always seen that her mother is the one who is calling the shots. Her father is the one who is weak, who has no say in the day to day affairs of their running of their family, of the running of their house. The father has no say basically. And such dominating mothers always feed it in the minds of the children that your father is no good. You have to consult me for every important decision. Never ever go to your father. He's a good for nothing. He means nothing for us. It is me who is everything. So, in their subconscious mind, it is fed that whatever you have to do after consulting me and not your father. Because the impression fed in their mind is your father is a weakling, he has no say, he is incapable of doing anything in, he's incapable of doing anything worthwhile in his life. So, what happens in their subconscious state? This thought gets ingrained that their father is a good for nothing. So, what happens when they grow up? They can never give that respect to their future boyfriends or their future husbands for that matter. They are conditioned to not hate but to consider them lower, to consider them not worthy of respect. Because, see, when a child is young, she only has two people who are important to her, one is father, one is mother. But when her mother has made the conditioning in such a fashion that your father is weak, so that same thing gets conditioned in her mind, and that comes across when when she gets married. So when she gets married, that husband can never get the respect that he deserves, which he rightfully deserves. Because how much of a good that person may be, the wife can never come to terms to give him that respect because it has been imbibed in her mind basically. Since it is imbibed in her mind, how much of a good that person may be, he will always be weak in front of her eyes. How much of a strong or masculine that guy may be. But for that, I mean, the whole world would be calling him strong, masculine, good. But that won't be enough for that girl because how much of a good the person may be, they can never be good enough for these kind of ladies. So I always say beware of a girl with a weak father and a strong, loud, dominating mother because it's a recipe made in hell basically. It's a surefire recipe to disaster. Never ever go around with such a girl because not just one. I've done in-depth research in countless cases. In fact, I've even shared my case studies, how I came to this conclusion in my Hindi video, which I will try to put the links in my description. You can go through those videos because I have explained this in great depth and detail how I arrived in this conclusion because I have studied lots of cases from my 1:1. So based on that, I have a proper evidence-based research work which I have done, which easily gave me the conclusion that always stay away from such a lady. So these ladies always have a distorted view of masculinity because whoever seems strong and imposing to her, she will always discard such a person. She will never ever give him that respect. She will always have a distorted view of such a person. She will never give her the respect that he deserved at the first place. Never ever. I've seen it in countless of my cases. Now, my next point, which I have studied in my research, is such girls, such ladies always have authority issues. You will ask me, what is authority issue? So, authority issues means since, right since her childhood, she has seen that it's her mother who is calling the shots. It's her mother who is the power of authority. It's her mother who is loud, who is dominant, who disrespects her father, who disrespects her husband. So she's the one calling the shots, she's the one who pulls the strings. So since she's the girl, she's the lady of the house, she's the head of the house basically. So she is the dominant figure. She's the controlling figure. So all these attributes gets mirrored down to that daughter. So in turn, when the daughter grows up, when she turns into an adult, she has mirrored down all of those traits in herself. So she also tends to do that same thing because she has absorbed. Because when kids are young, whoever they are highly influenced with, in this case it's her mother because father is a weak person. So naturally, in normal scenarios, had the father been strong, dominant, masculine figure, then ideally she would have taken all the values from her father. But that is not the case in this scenario. In this scenario, though nature intended it to happen in such a way that she imbibes all the values from her father, but in certain cases that doesn't happen. It's the mother who calls the shots. So that in turn they try to absorb unknowingly in a subconscious level. She gets all those traits in herself, and that is just the beginning of the trouble. The reason being, when she gets married or when she comes in a relationship, she will display the same attributes of her own mother. She will always be controlling. She will always be loud. She will always be dominant. She will always disrespect her partner. She will always try to pull the strings. She will always call the shots, which by no means any self respecting man, I'm not talking about a simp. More often than not, you will only find simps marrying such a woman. You will never see an alpha male or a sigma male for that matter marrying such kind of ladies, because an alpha or a sigma, within a few dates itself they will come to know that she's not fit for me, she's not cut for me. But the simps, as you know, India being the simp capital of the world, they are desperate lot. They can settle for just about anything. They can settle for they can settle for somebody who doesn't give them respect, who shatters their self respect. They can settle for anything, like they are the bottom feeders of the society basically. The simps are the scumbags of our society. So except simps, nobody else can tackle these. I mean, nobody else can tolerate their bad behavior, but simps very well can, because I've personally seen lots of simps who have been tolerating since years. Though they are aware now, they are aware of their mistakes now, but now they find it impossible to get away from them because they have grasped them with their claws, with their sharpened claws, to such an extent that it's impossible for them to leave the relationship. So I do feel bad for such sims, basically. So in short, these ladies imbibe all the attributes of her mother and all the bad attributes actually. So that comes in full display when they are married. They tend to display the same attributes with their husbands or their boyfriends for that matter, making their life a living hell. My next point is lack of respect for male. So when she was growing up, she has seen the person whom she loves the most, that is ideally her father. But when she has seen that her mother has always been disrespecting her father, because see, by default, it's a common knowledge that every daughter, every girl, by default, by nature, they are wired towards their fathers. They are more attracted and they are more close with their fathers than their mothers. So ideally, it's their father whom they tend to ape. So when they have a strong masculine father, they imbibe all the good masculine traits. They know how to respect males. They know how to understand males. They know how to give them that respect which they deserve. Whereas in this case, she has only seen her mother disrespecting her father. So this gets passed on to her. When she grows up, she tends to disrespect all men. because she thinks my mother did not respect my own father. Why the hell should why the hell should I respect the other man? So she does not respect the other male at all, not just her husband. Mind you, this point is, in my earlier point I said she will never respect her husband, but in my this point which I have seen, they tend to have zero respect for even other males. So in short, lots of feminists fall in this bracket. They have a tendency, they have a common pattern of hating all males. They are the ones who can easily say all men are dogs, all men are pigs, all men are b. So they are the ones. They tend to have zero respect for the males because during their childhood, she did not see any respect for her father. She did not see her mother giving any respect of any sort to her father. So they end up disrespecting their fathers, not just their husbands, but also every male for that. My next point is emotional instability. So a girl who has grown up in such a family, who has grown up in such a scenario where it is completely imbalanced, they tend to have severe mental and emotional issues when they grow up. They are the ones who have severe trust issues, which I have seen in my studies. They have severe trust issues. They can never ever come to trust a person fully. They are the ones who have depression issues. They have mood swings. They have lots of emotional trauma. They have past baggages, you can, as they call it. They are the ones who are the prime candidates to carry lots of baggages, lots of childhood trauma. They are the ones who are the perfect example of somebody carrying childhood trauma because they grew up in an environment where the family settings were imbalanced. It was not balanced. What is, if you ask me, what's a balanced parameter? A balanced parameter would be a man who's working hard, who is masculine, who is respected by his wife. That's what an ideal setting. That is how it is supposed to be. That is how nature intended it to be. That's why it's called masculine and feminine. Under a normal under a normal setting, a woman is supposed to be feminine. That's why she's called a female, feminine. Man, masculine. That is how ideal it is supposed to be, which is made by nature itself. I did not make it. It's nature which has made it. But since she grew up in a setting in which it was completely disbalanced, over here the man was not masculine enough, the woman was not feminine enough. It's the perfect breeding ground to create childhood trauma. So such people they display big time childhood trauma, in which in my cases, because I've given therapy to many such ladies, but I can only say one thing. I have only arrived in one conclusion, that it can be controlled to a great level, but it can never be completely cured. I can easily say that for a fact. It's impossible for them to come out of it completely. It can be controlled by therapy, but 100% I don't think it can be cured. I personally won't be able to give any 100% guarantee, and that is the truth actually. Because many doctors, many psychologists, they will say I can cure it 100%, but I personally have nothing to hide. I have nothing to I don't need to lie to you, because they have the reasons to lie, because they have spent their entire formative years in procuring their degrees. They've invested lots of money, so lots of money is at stake. They have to recover that money, so that's why they give the assurance, yes, I will cure it. But I don't think that can be cured 100%. To a great degree it can be cured. Can't be cured, it can be controlled to a great degree, but 100% cure, whoever gives you that assurance or guarantee that I can cure it 100%, I don't think he's saying the truth. My next point is power struggle in relationships. When these women gets married or comes under a serious relationship for that matter, they always try to exert dominance in the exact same way her mother had been dominating her father. So they always try to be the dominant one. They always try to be the alpha woman. They always try to be the one who's in control. Suppose if they are going for a movie, if the husband says, I want to watch so and so movie, but the lady will say, no, I said this, so this has to be it. They will never ever back down. They will be like, I can. And in many instances, I had seen one couple from one of my 1:1 cases. I'm just describing one example. One couple had gone to a mall in Dubai. In the mall, the husband wanted to use the washroom. So he just said, I'll make you seated in one place and I'll go to the washroom and I'll again come. So the lady just shouted at him, saying, I can look after myself. You don't have to come and get me seated. I can easily find my way. I can easily go and find some place to sit. You don't have to help me get seated. You just go to your washroom and come. So this was the way she reacted. Why? She is dominating. And since she's so dominating, she could not decipher the intent behind the guy saying him that I'll get you seated. It was not because she can't do it. It was only because he was showing her care, concern that I'll get you seated so that you are comfortable. Only after that I'll go to the washroom. It was such a beautiful comment from my client. But his wife, she completely took it in another direction, in another tangent altogether, saying, I can look after myself. I'm not a child. I can easily look after myself. You don't have to seat me. You just go to the washroom and find me. So that was her rude way. So that easily, and on deeper prodding, I came to know she had the same issue, weak father and strong mother. So that case will always be there. This has always been the pattern in 100% of my cases, that they will always be dominant. They will never ever, they can never understand concern and care, because when she was young, when she actually needed it the most, there was nobody from a masculine figure. I mean, she did not get that care and concern from a masculine figure, which incidentally was her father. She never got that. So now if a male tries to give her that caring or comfort, she rejects it completely. She outrightly rejects it. She does not need it. It sounds and looks very rude, but it's a psychological issue, if you ask me. It's a mental trauma. It's a mental issue, basically. So I explained this to my client that she is definitely going through childhood trauma. So, like, you can decide what you have to do, but I told him the truth, whatever it is. My next point is entitlement and manipulation. While growing up, she saw one common pattern in her mother, that she always acts in an entitled fashion and she always indulges in manipulation, like guilt tripping, emotional blackmail, fake tears for that matter, to show that you are the bad. Due to you, my life has been ruined, of this sort. This is a very common trait which she has seen while growing up. Her mother indulging in all sorts of manipulation tactics, especially those entitlement pattern, that was very common in my research. They always act entitled because this thing got mirrored down to her from her mother. They always act entitled. They always think, this is mine, it has to be mine, it has to be this way, it has to be my way, no other way. And they are the first ones to indulge in emotional blackmail. They will always blackmail you emotionally, and they are the ones they are highly susceptible to guilt trapping as well. I've seen a very high incidence of these type of ladies indulging in guilt trapping, which I have explained in my prior video about the manipulation tactics women use. So these sort of women are the ones who are experts in these two types of manipulation. One is guilt trapping, and second is emotional blackmail. These two had a very high incidence in the women who have this case, a weak father and strong mother. There's difficulty in submission. In my cases, in my research, I have seen one common pattern, that suppose if such kind of a lady gets married to a truly a masculine person, gets married to an alpha male, a super strong example of a proper masculine force, who is exuding raw energy, masculine energy, they find it very difficult to submit to them, because right since childhood she only saw one thing, that it's the father who is submitting to her mother and not the other way around. So she can, in spite of her trying, because a masculine male commands submission, she is trying also to be submissive towards him. But what I have seen, by their internal wiring, there is a shield which is preventing her to submit in front of him. Because since childhood, she has seen only one thing, that it's her father who is submissive and not the mother. So she, in spite of having a masculine male in the form of her husband, she will never ever submit in front of him. And that makes their relationship a living hell, because one masculine I mean, the man of the family, the man of such family who is masculine, he will always demand a submissive, feminine lady. He's not a simp who will tolerate all of her bullshit. So this is a 100% case which is screwed up right from the word go. Because I've tried my best to salvage such relationships, but they always end up in a divorce. There's no two way out because no alpha male or no masculine male will tolerate her shit because they will always demand somebody who is submissive, at least in a subtle fashion. Like they can never ever live with a dominating lady, with a loud dominating lady. It's impossible. Only Sims, as I said, only Sims can tolerate them, but never ever a masculine male. So these are my points which I have seen. You can check out my, I'll put the links for my Hindi videos in which I have put more details. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. I'll address more. Jai Hind.